The guitar we're reviewing tonight is a bit of a mistake, but we're gonna do it anyway. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So our journey on this one starts as a new guitar day purchase. Someone reached out to me and said, hey, this model's completely out of stock online. I don't see any used. There's none in the demo shop. And I looked to back up his story because it's like, man, these things are always available somewhere. But that just wasn't the case. So I did a little bit of research and digging for him, and I actually found a brand new one that was just about to hit the sales floor. So to make use of our opportunity here, I just went ahead and locked it down for him. But keep in mind, this was before we had any type of formal agreement that he actually was 100% serious and ready to go on one of these. So he actually ended up going for a different guitar, but I didn't feel right telling the dealer, no, after I already confirmed that I wanted one. So yeah, here we go. The 3-pickup Black Beauty Les Paul Supreme. We reviewed one of these about 2 years ago. This is the Gibson.com exclusive, but as with any of the .com exclusives, you can also get them at the Gibson Garage. So if you're looking for a specific weight or a kind of top, you can eventually find it with their help. But when this version was first launched, it was the only exclusive Les Paul Supreme. So hey, we can at least update that review for future generations to see. So this was the original. It doesn't have the crazy flamey and or quilty top, but it does have the addition of that third middle humbucker, and you can't tell me this thing is not pure class. But Sweetwater joined the fun with their own Koa top version that utilizes their exclusive sugar bucker pickups. Those have a $500 premium at $4,500. And then lastly, there is now a Guitar Center AAA quilt top sea smoke version for a $200 premium at $41.99. Whereas our 3-pickup ebony is just the standard $4,000 price tag of the other ones, which at the time of recording are offered in a Fireburst finish, a trans ebony burst, which we reviewed at launch, as well as a wine red Supreme, which we just reviewed a couple of months ago due to an interesting trade situation. But the modern Supreme lineup exists to basically take the Les Paul Modern, which we've reviewed in these episodes, where it's got that comfort cut on the back, and nowadays you have the option of a flame top, but when they were first launched it was just 3 metallic colors. But they take that and essentially Les Paul customify it within Gibson USA. This is the highest end Gibson USA product because of all the fancy ornamentations, including your new chandelier headstock logo. But unlike the original Supremes that have the carved back, these do not, but they do get your little comfort heel swoop here for higher fret access, thus returning backplates to this model and giving us fancy electronics in the form of coil splits, as well as in and out of phase on 3 push-pull pots, among some other cool specced out things like your ebony fretboard that is compound radiused. But besides just our guitar, what are we getting in the 2025 year? Looks like your standard Gibson case that they have been using. It's got your branding on the outside, black rectangular latches. Then inside the case you get this little baggie which contains all this goodness: Gibson polishing cloth, an owner's manual, download the Gibson app pamphlet, our warranty information all filled out with our pre-packed checklist on the back, a basic leather strap, everyone's favorite Gibson multi-tool, a blank truss rod cover. I think I'll stick with the Supreme, but here's our original hang tag as well as the box tag for historical preservation. And then they do include a pickguard in the case, and you know what, just to make this review different from the last, I actually am going to install that today. So take a good look at it pickguardless now, because I'm sure that'll drum up some controversy. There we go. I told you I was going to do it. Won't lie, a little bit nerve-wracking that something could go wrong. I don't have the proper power tools for that stuff. I will say, though, it was actually much harder to sink that screw into the maple because it's a harder wood, whereas the mahogany, it was hardly even a problem at all. But I'd say that looks pretty classy there. But now let's go ahead and finish its dissection to take an individual look at its parts and specs. After the floodgates open of installing the pickguard, I was just like, you know what, let's have a lot of fun today and just modify it even further. The poker chip is not actually included on this model, which I found very strange, so I just borrowed it from one of my Les Paul studios, because I was wondering why it didn't quite look right after I installed the pickguard, and yeah, that's what it needed. However, sometimes there's a nut on the back side of your toggle switch that you can use to raise and lower it. This one does not have that, so I can't actually completely screw down my toggle switch tip Otherwise, it doesn't stay in the neck. Of course. Now that we're filming, it's gonna stay. But usually it would just be popping back in. So word to the wise, if you buy this one, you might need to loosen it just a couple of turns or remove that. But the other thing that I didn't like about this 3 pickup model the last time I reviewed it is stock from the factory, the middle pickup is always in position. So it was neck and middle, bridge and middle, and then all 3 together. So if you wanted just the neck or bridge, you would have to come over here and roll your volume off. Now that's great for a recording situation because you can also, in the middle position, do any type of a blending between, just a little bit of neck, full on bridge, whatever you wanted. It's great for that. However, if you're like me and just want a neck and bridge type sounds just real quick, this was not a good model. So what I did is I just took the middle pickup completely out of the circuit. I desoldered it, and now we just have essentially a neck and bridge in regular middle positions while retaining their coil tap abilities, and this in theory shouldn't even be doing anything now. And a common complaint with 3 pickup guitars is, hey, that middle thing's in my way. So I've lowered that about as low as you're going to be able to go without it falling out. So we'll see if that changes my experience with the 3 pickup Black Beauty Supreme. This one has been modified, which is now making this review way more interesting to me. But we've got our regular Rhythm Burst Bucker Pro in the neck, and it's called the Mid Burst Bucker Pro in the middle. But again, he is out of the circuit. And this is the Lead Pro Plus in the bridge. These do appear to be wax potted. You can see the residue on it. But yeah, the routes are getting kind of yucky again. Look how bad that is. Really all frilled up, super dull router bits, I guess. Not the best we've ever seen from Gibson. However, what's cool about this one versus the last one we reviewed is that one was completely painted over black. This one's still natural, so we can see all of our markings. LPSU for Les Paul Supreme, 3 pickup. And then what looks like EB for ebony. And oh yes, we've got a much clearer shot of this still having a maple top versus last time. In fact, we even have a nice area right there before finish was even applied. So not traditional Black Beauty specs in that aspect. We do not have the mahogany top. Now that I'm thinking about it, should we modify it even further? What do you guys like better on a 3 pickup Les Paul? Do you like it when you have 2 neck pickups and 1 bridge? Or do you like it as 2 bridge and 1 neck? This is typically the historically correct way to do it, but I've actually seen it done stock both ways. But personally, I'm all about the 2 bridge pickups, so I'm actually going to leave that alone. Well, let's see if this is working now. Selected the bridge, it's just the bridge, 825. Selected the neck, just the neck, 747. Then our middle in this situation is just these 2 pickups, and that is at 395. And once again, we still have coil taps. Yes, it is actually a tap. It's not a split. They're only removing some of the windings out of the coil. And due to the way Gibson does that, that's why this does not change our reading. I'll make a video as to why when I have the right components to demonstrate it side by side. And now our bridge and tailpiece, lightweight aluminum by API. You can see their branding right here in the center. Has the Allen key adjustments on the edge if you want to use it that way, or the thumb wheels. Tailpiece is also lightweight aluminum by the same company. If I had the wiring know-how, I think what I would do is I would wire this up now as a kill switch. That way you could just instantly have a, let's talk to the audience, let's rock setting. But as I have it now, the only difference between a regular Les Paul is we now have a master tone control. Some of the PCB equipped moderns have a direct bridge push-pull pot on this one, but nope, even in 2025, they have not added that to that, and that's because this model's hand-wired. And here's a look at that pickguard we installed. It came with a plastic film over top of it, so I still need to remove that. And of course we have our little felt pad there, which will eventually discolor the finish. But if you're curious how the installation job went, relatively okay. You definitely won't want to take the pickguard off, because that kind of ruins the vibe. But that's okay. I installed it for a reason. It's not coming off. And this will be the cleanest the pickguard will ever be. And wow, that all of a sudden looks way better to me, having everything. But looking over the rest of the top, I know it's an ebony finished guitar, but straight out of the box, I was kind of disappointed at how many slightly deeper polishing scratches that this really had. Like, it nearly looks like it has some VOS treatments in certain lighting situations. But this is not custom shop VOS, this is supposed to be full gloss. That's why I didn't feel bad modifying this one. I also noticed a few areas like we're seeing right here. I'm not sure if it's like a clear coat delamination straight over the ebony, or what exactly that is, but you see that in a few areas on this guitar. I would list that as a finish QC detail, but from a couple feet away, you don't notice it. But now we can move on from our maple top mahogany body, mahogany neck with our ebony fretboard, with our Super 400 inlays running up and down the neck. These are true mother of pearl, and once again, a compound radius ebony fretboard. So usually that means 10 to 16, 14-ish. Wow, that's unique. 10 is too rounded. Same with 9.5. But 7.5 is too rounded, so it must start at 9. And even up here, it doesn't completely fit into our stock gauges. It's almost like it's 13. Okay. These little StewMac things, they're great, but I really wish I could just have one that I put something on the fretboard and it tells me, but I don't know if I want to pay $200 for that. It could be useful in situations like these compound radius though. As far as QC details and marks on the fretboard, are there some? Yeah. Also on the binding. Far from the worst that we've seen though. We've got our 24 3/4 inch scale with a nut width of 1.7 inches, 210 by the 12. First fret neck depth 0.81 and 0.91 by the 12. Definitely more of a slim C neck profile. There's a look at that neck profile at the first fret and the 12th fret. Keep in mind, this is not an asymmetrical neck anymore. You just have the compound fretboard radius. This is a standard slimmer C. And we'll take a quick peek at our headstock. Truss rod's looking good. We can see our bare mahogany. And even though we're modifying everything else about this guitar, I like the Supreme branding on it. I won't swap it out for that blank one. And we've got a cool chandelier done up in real mother of pearl, just like the inlays on our fretboard and our Gibson logo. And all the good multiply headstock goodness over here. Here's another area where you can see that delamination or whatever it is. Now that I've got it all strung back up, I decided to play it just a little bit, and wow, yeah. The difference between lowering that all the way down and not having to worry about it is a lot of fun. It's much more comfortable if that's where your hand usually likes to rest. And that neck feels really flat and skinny. As far as the backside of the instrument, it's just complete ebony. You don't have any comfort cuts. It's a full thickness body, but we do have the swept heel, as you can call it. Not the same as the full-on access heel carve, because you still have this little pointy bit, but it's better than nothing. Some guys actually enjoy having an anchoring point right there. It's just personal preference. But here's a good area to see just how much they sweep out for you. And as I was telling you earlier, it is hand wired, so no PCBs. So that's probably why you don't get that fourth push-pull pot for direct to bridge. But if you were to buy this from me and you're like, hey, Trogly, you're a crazy madman. I like everything else you did, but I want my middle pickup back. I just tucked it away back here. You just have to pull it out. And 2 wires go there. 2 wires go here, and 1 goes to that center lug. Here's a photo of it. The pickup works. It's 100% functional. All you gotta do is just put it back on the pot. Here's our golden output jack plate, our large style strap buttons, the other one's on our top horn, and here's a look inside our toggle switch cavity route. And yes, we can see some lacquer sinking where the wood grain is, and more of the light scuffs. Now, something I do need to mention, this is not a crack, that's just an outline of where the nut actually ends. So that's more of a witness slash seam line showing, and you can see that the black paint kind of bled into where our nut is there. You can see the same thing on the other side. That will eventually happen on all guitars, but on a brand new one, yeah, probably shouldn't be there. But here's something else I didn't tell you. These are locking Grover tuners stock. They just use those wheels on the back to lock the strings in place. Makes string changes quicker, and if you don't know how to wrap strings properly, it can help tuning stability. Our serial number on this one is about mid-2024, 173rd day of the year. So maybe this was just sitting in the back in a box. But at the time, it was the only one available. But that has since changed. Because that was another reason why I wanted to pick this thing up, because I thought, oh my goodness, are they discontinuing it? Because that's very unlike Gibson to have a model like this out of stock. And none in the demo shop or anything like that. But they did eventually come back. But all said and done, with our ultra-modern weight relief, it is 8 pounds, 12.3 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this modded version sounds. There we go. So much simpler. I like this one. I had to adjust the pickups a little bit more. I thought the neck pickup was just way too muddy how close they had it to the strings from the factory. And I also lowered that bridge pickup down because these can get really farty and or bitey. I think it would work for certain tones, but just keep in mind, if you have a stock one of these, not only do you need to fiddle around with your volume controls and everything, but don't forget about your pickup heights. That's a lot of differences there. Now let's do a little bit of with the Coil tapping tones. For me, I don't think they sound that great, but it depends on your situation again. Okay, maybe I changed my mind. I was doing a little bit of noodling before recording, and I just didn't think it sounded that great with individual tones. So there if you want it. Overall, I would say the neck burst bucker is a little bit muddy, but it makes for good blues stuff. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds rather dark, like my tone control's down, but it's not. So I adjusted the settings on my pedal just a tad. Interesting tones for sure, but I think I prefer cleans on this one. So there we go, an updated review on a now modified 3-pickup Black Beauty Les Paul Supreme. What are my final thoughts? I think they should just ship them this way. The poker chip and the very classic looking pickguard appeases my eyes, but I get it at the same time. It's supposed to be a modern Supreme. You're supposed to get rid of all the old-timey looks to it, but I think it'd be cool if they would do a 2-pickup limited edition, or just have a run of them actually have all this stuff. Because that's the thing, these pickguards and stuff might actually be in the case, but most people don't actually end up installing them, A, because they're terrified of the process of putting it in, and then not being able to go back. But as far as the playability and setup of this one, I enjoyed it a lot more without that middle pickup, because the first time I reviewed this guitar, I wasn't really all that impressed with what the middle pickup did, and it just complicated it in a way that I don't like as a guitar reviewer, but I could see how somebody would enjoy as like a session musician or somebody who's doing a lot of recording. I know I had a lot of fun on this episode, a lot more than I was expecting because of doing all these mods. Generally, I'm buying the guitar when it's brand new, and I view it as my duty to help you guys make informed decisions whether a guitar is right for you or not. So I generally leave things completely stock and try to document completely stock examples. But that's the unique thing about this one. If you want to see me document one of these in regular positions, again, that episode is out there. You just gotta search it up. But we got to have a little bit of extra fun tonight. But if you like what I've done and you don't want to do it yourself, this one will be available on my website if you like the mods I made to it. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care.